Well, hi everyone. I'm Charmecklin with a review of two psychological thrillers that I just watched, Inheritance and Last Moment of Clarity. Like any multi-movie review that I do, there will be spoilers throughout, and I'll tell you right now, one of these I was vastly disappointed in, and I'm just going to start with it. That's Inheritance. So you have Lily Collins and Simon Pegg in the same movie. Now, I really like Lily Collins. I've liked her ever since Mortal Instruments, City of Bones, and I liked her in To the Bone and various other, a lot of bone stuff when it comes to her movies. That sounded a lot less dirty in my head than I planned, but I've liked her in a lot of movies. She's very good. She's, a beautiful woman, very good actress. She just really is a complete package. She has a way to do dramatic, and she's just really good. I really like her. I also like Simon Pegg. I've liked him since Shaun of the Dead, and he's been good in other stuff. Some of the later Mission Impossible movies, and, the Star Trek, the relaunched Star Trek franchise. So I was pretty excited for this. Here's the unfortunate thing about it. It was about an hour and 51 minutes, and it could have easily been 90 minutes if they just would have cut out some of the subplots they didn't fucking need. So, Lily Collins plays character Lauren, who is a lawyer, and she's working on this big case, and she's having to deal with the death of her dad, played by Patrick Warburton. So I'm just thinking, Peter, I just died in a BMW. Peter, I'm sorry if that's a terrible, impression of Patrick Warburton, on Family Guy, but I just couldn't fucking help it. I had to fucking do that. Now, after he dies, he leaves a bunch of money to the brother, some to her, and then, donates some to various people and everything. So everything seems good. Well, this all happens in the first few minutes, and then he leaves a flash drive for Lauren and says, well, there's this secret I gotta tell you about, and it's where your old fort used to be. It's this underground bunker that apparently nobody fucking saw at all on this vast property in the woods, on this rich person's property. Because why the fuck would you look out in the woods for a secret bunker that also is housing what seemingly is a dead body, except it's not a dead body. It is a man named Morgan, played by Simon Pegg, who basically is found by Lauren and tells her, he was captured here because he harbored a secret. That her dad had, that somebody was killed. They had hit somebody coming home from a party, and he wanted to go to the police. The dad didn't. The dad knocked him out and chained him there, and he's been chained there for 30 goddamn years. So he tells her a bunch of stuff and everything. Dad has a mistress, a whole bunch of this other stuff. Really, really seedy stuff, finding out that the dad wasn't the best person and, wasn't the person that Lauren thought. So she's questioning everything. She believes this guy, even though she doesn't believe him at first. She does believe this guy, but she doesn't tell anybody else. She doesn't tell any of the other family members because it would shatter the family. So she goes on her own search while this case is going on. This pretty important case that kind of just gets thrown out of the fucking window about halfway through the movie. And also she's got a husband and a daughter, and she's trying to work through all this stuff while also investigating what this guy did, how much truth there is, and she finds out all this stuff is true. So eventually she ends up freeing the guy. Here's the problem. It turns out that he was lying, and that actually isn't his name, and that, he wasn't who he said he was. She even set up, the inheritance that she had in an account and gave him $100,000 and had the lawyer draft up all this stuff for him to go to the Cayman Islands because she wanted to make it right for what her dad did. And it turned out this guy was a criminal that assaulted the mother. Yeah, assaulted in that way. I'm not going to use the actual word. You know what the word is, but yeah, he did that, and this was all revealed in a plot where it turns out that the guy's all evil, and it turns out that that Lauren is a product of said assault. Okay, that's something. This movie could have been 20 minutes shorter if they didn't go with subplots of the brother who's trying to run for re-election because he's in politics, and trying to, doing this subplot of moving funds around everything, accepting bribes and stuff like that, and that the dad was involved in a whole bunch of stuff. It tries to be a few different movies and, go in a few different directions when it should have just been focused and just centralized on what was going on with Lauren and, Simon Pegg's characters. Now, Lily Collins and Simon Pegg are actually pretty good in this movie. The rest of the cast actually isn't all that bad, in all honesty. But the movie's also very boring. The fact that it stretched out this goddamn far didn't help. If it hadn't been for Lily Collins and Simon Pegg, I would have given this movie an F. Oh, and they end up dispatching the guy and burning down the bunker, because of course they fucking do. But it takes so long to get to the very obvious third act twist when you know the guy's evil? Why else would he be chained down there? Even if the dad was fucked up in the goddamn head, obviously you had to know that that guy was truly evil, and since he had done that to the father's wife, well, of course he wanted to make him suffer. But he just kept him down there so damn long. It was more boring than it needed to be, and I was disappointed because I like Lily Collins and Simon Pegg, as I said. So I'm going to say D. And now I'm going to move on to Last Moment of Clarity. So the description described this as Hitchcockian-esque. I have to kind of disagree, though it takes elements of Vertigo to an extent. I mean Vertigo the movie, not Vertigo the unfortunate medical condition. It had Samara Weaving in it. That automatically intrigued me because I've liked her since Ready or Not, and I just recently got turned on to her career, and I'm aware that she's been in other stuff before, but when I saw Ready or Not, I'm like, I need to see more stuff that she's in. Saw her in The Babysitter, and I've seen her in a few other things. She is very good, very bright actress, very beautiful actress as well, so that doesn't hurt. But she also has really good comedic timing. If you saw Ready or Not, you know what I'm talking about, and Babysitter proved that. This was a little bit more dramatic. You had a guy, Zach Avery, plays the character Sam. He is in Paris. There's a bar owner, Brian Cox, and he's trying to, he's just trying to get through life. Sam's just trying to get through life. We see flashbacks of him having, remembering a girlfriend, Georgia, played by Samara Weaving, and suddenly like this act happens, or this catastrophic event happens to where they're separated. He thinks she died, and he's just been at a loss since. But then he suddenly sees this actress that looks just like her, like about 3 years later, and he goes on the hunt. And he's in Paris at first, but then he flies all the way out to L.A., and he's searching through all this stuff. He hooks up with an old school friend named Kat. Hooks up in more ways than one, actually, by a little bit later in the movie. And she helps him because she, knows this actress and stuff like that, works with the company that works with her. And at first, Georgia playing this character, Lauren says, nope, it's not me, I'm not this person, no, it's not me, you need to leave me alone, Oh, there's also some, Eastern European mobsters that are trying to kill him, led by Udo Kier, I believe, that's how I said the name, because of course he plays a fucking Eastern European, Russian mobster, whatever. When hasn't he played an evil Russian, evil Eastern European guy? Like, seriously, that seems to be all he ever fucking plays. You want to talk about typecasting? That's motherfucking typecasting. So it turns out that this deal was this woman got killed. Well, Georgia got killed, or at least Sam thought so. And she assumed a new life because she thought that this guy that she had fallen in love with had got back into gambling and gotten in debt to the mob. No, it turns out that he witnessed something he shouldn't have witnessed. Kind of like Rear Window, where he was taking pictures of something, because that's also something Georgia used to do. So, oh no, it turns out that it was actually all a big misunderstanding, and they get together, and oh, it's great and everything. They get together and spending the night with Samara Weaving would be appealing. Here's a big problem with this movie, and before I get to the rest of the plot. The character of Sam is not very interesting. Like, it's very bland. And when you have a bland leading man, you already are kind of at a disadvantage. Samara Weaving's fine in this. None of the acting is particularly bad. Even Zach Avery isn't bad in this movie. He's just very bland because there's not really a whole lot to this. He's just focused on finding this lost love, and then that's really it. But we don't know how long they were together. We don't know if it was a whirlwind romance. We don't have any idea if they were just together a few months and this happened. I mean, and if they discussed how long they had been together, I don't fucking remember because it started to tune out a little bit during this. Now, that being said, there were some saving graces. I liked the brisk pace of this. This was over in 90 minutes, which is refreshing. It was kind of like when I watched Lost Bullet. I reviewed that. That was brisk, expedient. It got to the point while getting into a little bit of a plot. Now, there's not too much of a plot here. You do have this one underling mobster because this catastrophic event ended with an apartment fire where two brothers got killed, well, two mobsters got killed, including his brother. So he wants to take over and he wants revenge, and then there's this hitman guy that gets called off because the boss, Udo Kier, says, nope, don't do that or whatever. You know what, forget about it. Just call it off and everything. And then there's a showdown. And Lauren, she has met some guy, in these 3 years, and she is going to leave him and go with Sam. But also this girl, Kat, has feelings for Sam. It's kind of like a weird, wraparound of romance and stuff like that. The showdown happens, mobsters die, and then Sam sees, his long lost love together with her fiance. And it's like, you know what? They are perfect for each other. So you think, oh no, they're on the beach, they're away, that he's going to be with her. Nope, he's with the girl cat that he knew. So there you go. Cool. I guess it proves love conquers all. I can't say the movie is necessarily great, and I'm probably not going to remember much about it, even if I talk about it at the end of the year, if I do any end of year list, depending on what happens. But I can't say I was necessarily disappointed. Had an expedient pace, it was fine for what it was. So I'm going to say C+. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.